Hey, this is Victor. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so in today's video, I wanted to share with you 5 things that you should do immediately before and after you buy a domain. So a lot of people get very excited about buying a new domain for their website, and then they think they can forget about it until the website is ready to be launched. And there's a bunch of things that you can do immediately before and immediately after you buy that domain that will definitely help you when it comes to launching your website. So let's go and look at some of those things you can do. Okay, so here are the 5 things that you should do immediately before and after you buy a domain. So the first thing is you should just research that particular domain. And so here's some ways that you can research the domain. So once you find a domain that you like, you might be surprised, but that domain might have been owned by someone else, and that might be a benefit or it might be a detriment. But either way, you should figure that out. And so what you should do is you should take that domain name and go to a couple sites. One is a site called Ahrefs. This will tell you kind of what the domain authority is, what the domain rank, if there are any backlinks to it, kind of what the anchors were for those particular backlinks, those kind of things. So in this case, this one's a little bit of a weird one. I literally just pulled up example domain out of a hat, and it turns out like this has a huge domain authority with a bunch of backlinks. Which was surprising to me. It led me to believe this was an active website that was used, but then it looks like that's not the case. In any case, things that you want to look for. So you want to look for, number one, anchors. And the anchors are the words that are being hyperlinked that are linking to that particular website. And if they look spammy, so if they have anything to do with Viagra or internet porn or payday loans or anything kind of shady sounding, that's probably a bad thing. Doesn't mean you can't buy the domain, but it just means it's not great. Any kind of foreign anchor text, like Chinese anchor text, that's typically not great either. So you just want to see if everything here looks okay. You know, everything here seems fine enough. I don't see anything too crazy. And then you also want to look at the referring domains. So those are like, who are the websites linking to them? You see here, it's like WordPress.org and Adobe.com. Looks pretty legit to me. So first glance, looks pretty fine. So that's one thing to do research on. Another thing is the actual Wayback Machine. So the Wayback Machine is web.archive.org/web. Just go Google, Wayback Machine, you'll find it. So I looked through all of this site. I don't think at any point in time this was anything but just a domain for sale. Looks like they were actively building links to it for some reason. But if you look at any of the snapshots, it's always just, kind of some domain for sale. Fine, no big deal. So that's kind of step one, is research the domain, research the backlinks, make sure that it is okay. If for whatever reason you have a bunch of spammy backlinks that you don't like, right, then you can disavow those links. You can choose to kind of say, hey, these links aren't for us, and submit it to Google. That's kind of outside the scope of this video here, but you can disavow those backlinks and it won't penalize or hurt you. So that's step one, is, research the domain itself before you do. Step two is, when you register the domain, be sure and add privacy, but also register it for as long as you can, ideally for 10 years if you can. So Google actually trusts a site more if it's registered for a longer period of time. So if they see that you've been registering it, that you're going to own this site for a long time, you're not just going to churn and burn this website, they'll actually give you more trust and credit for that. So if kind of to back up here for a second, the problem with owning a new domain is Google doesn't trust new domains, and they essentially put you in a sandbox for a period of time once you have that domain and have that website. And so they won't give you any kind of trust or credit for a while. So all of these things, a lot of these tips here are just to kind of help you along to build as much trust and credibility with Google in the shortest amount of time. And so, registering for 10 years, that's another thing you can do in the eyes of Google. They will give you a little credit for that in terms of trusting your domain a little bit more. Also, another thing to think about is just use variant keywords in the URL. Like some people, especially if you're branding your own name, a lot of people don't know how to spell your name or what the proper spelling is. So just buy all the different variants and then have them redirect to your main URL, just in case, it's a hard word to spell or isn't an intuitive word to spell. So that's another idea. So then once you've bought the domain, you own the domain, you've added privacy, you've bought it for 10 years, my next advice is just to throw up some content on the site. So you can just throw up a WordPress blog, a template, it doesn't matter. Just get the website up and throw some content on there, and ideally related to any kind of keywords you'd like, but just in general, get something up there. Get a home page, an about page, add your privacy policy, add your contact page. It does not have to be a beautiful site. It can be completely ugly. The words don't have to be eloquent. It's just there for the purpose of aging the site, so that Google trusts that the site is a real site. So by the time that you're done with your design and development for the site and you're ready to actually launch it for real and actually tell people about it, it's got more trust in the eyes of Google. It's really something you can do to set yourself ahead. If the website project takes 2 months, you could use that time to age the site and help it out, so that by the time you're ready to launch, you'll be outside of the sandbox and you'll be way ahead of the game than you otherwise would. So that's number 4. And then the last one is just start building some links. Again, this is all about just building trust with Google. The more links you have to the site, especially over time, Google will trust the site more. You're more likely to be indexed when you're ready to go. So, from your LinkedIn profile, from your Facebook, from your Twitter, get from Yelp, any kind of directory, those are all places where you can start building links, have them linked to your domain. Google My Business, that's another good one. Those all help build the trust for your website. So as many as you can, just start building links to your site so that, again, by the time you launch, Google will trust the site and think of it as a legitimate site. And so you'll be way ahead of the game when you actually launch your website for real. So hopefully you find those tips useful. If you do, please feel free to like this video, also subscribe to the channel, and if you're looking for help with your website project, please feel free and visit thomasdigital.com. We offer a free mock-up of your website before you sign or pay for anything. So if you're interested, visit Thomas Digital to learn more. All right, well, thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.